feels, as everybody knows, really good.
Do you go to Mass on Saturday night?
I do.
Do you say a prayer about the opponents?
I do. I do.
And most of those prayers have been answered this season. Fangio looking for a little divine intervention to help slow down Odell Beckham Jr. No debating at all, Schrags. He is one of the best DCs in the league, which leads us to your 2-point conversing with the man, Nate Burleson. Cannot wait, gentlemen.
Nicely done, Will. Yeah, Vic Fangio on a hot streak. Odell Beckham, not as much, but this is a segment we're calling 2-point conversing. I spent double-digit years in a press box. Nate spent double-digit years on the field. Different points of view. Let's debate. Debate. Let's go. I'm going to say 3 different statements, okay? And we're going to either agree or disagree. I'll start off right now. Statement number 1, in honor of Phillip Rivers going into Pittsburgh this weekend. Statement. Phillip Rivers has nothing left to prove to anyone. Agree or disagree?
He has nothing to prove. Some of the greats in this game have went out there and given us great football, great production, and still we don't appreciate them. Phillip Rivers, one of the long-lasting guys that didn't go elsewhere to chase the money, didn't go elsewhere to chase the city, didn't go elsewhere to chase the fame. He is stuck right there in San Diego and now LA. His numbers, rightfully so. Him up against Ben Roethlisberger. Ben Roethlisberger 7th all-time. Phillip Rivers 8th all-time. You got to respect his numbers. Got to respect his numbers.
Does he have anything to prove? He's never been to a Super Bowl. He's never been an MVP, and he plays in an era with Tom Brady, who's got 3 MVPs and 5 Super Bowls, all that. And he's got Ben Roethlisberger, he's got Eli Manning. Not everybody can be the greatest ever, and I'm seeing a lot of stuff right now saying that Rivers doesn't get enough respect. Rivers needs to win a big game. Rivers needs to get there, and I know how the Hall of Fame works, and you guys think everyone gets in the Hall of Fame, and he might, and maybe he justifiably should. But these voters, they look at things like that.
That's
so
fine.
To prove, yes,
Listen,
he does.
I got you. Dan Marino, Dan Fouts, Warren Moon, Jim Kelly. These guys never won a Super Bowl. Dan Marino is known as one of the best passers of all time. Phillip Rivers had the best passing game of all time last week. So how can you not respect the guy at this age?
You don't think at this point, so you think he retires right now, he's done it all. He has no checks left to go. No, he's checked every box. He's done it all. I think, to me, this season, if he gets to the Super Bowl, if he wins it, he's a Hall of Famer, but that's the slam dunk exclamation mark. You don't see it that way.
It's a solidification of his career, not validation of his career. You don't need to validate himself with a ring. Tony Gonzalez doesn't need to validate himself with the ring. We know his greatness. Even though he's a quarterback, everybody wants to say, if you don't have the ring, then you don't have the glory, then you don't get the jacket. It's not true, Schrags. It's not true. All right, let's go. Let's go to the next statement right here. The Jaguars are the most disappointing team in 2018.
They're disappointing, but the Raiders blow them out of the water if you want to talk about disappointing. The Raiders had a roster with Khalil Mack, Amari Cooper, and Derek Carr. They hired a coach for $100 million, and they signed veterans, Doug Martin, Derek Johnson. They signed guys, Jordy Nelson, that they thought were going to get them over the top. They thought Super Bowl. Their team was built that way. And guess what? That trade of Khalil Mack, because the Bears they didn't think would be as good, that first-round pick is not that great anymore. That's a pick in the 20s. That trade of Amari Cooper, we're going to get a first-round pick. The Cowboys are really good. That pick is now going to be in the 20s. Like, they didn't really hit any. This is a horrible lost season for the Raiders.
Bro, they got a handful of first-round picks in the next 2 years, and they go into Vegas. Everybody gets excited before they go to Vegas. The Jags were a game away from the Super Bowl. And all of a sudden, this offseason, they were celebrating like they won a Super Bowl. And I want to forget you. I want to talk to the Jags. Listen, you guys go out there. Jalen, I love you, fam, but you get in the playoffs and you say, we're going to go and we're going to win this, bleep. And then you talk to GQ. You're talking about all these quarterbacks and how they're garbage. And then they extend Blake Bortles. He gets benched during this season. And then you guys go to London. You're kicking it in London. Listen, I'm not being a player and trying to act like I've never been there because I made my mistakes in the league. But you guys are making way too many mistakes for a team that hasn't even done anything. Bro, this is a team that we all were clamoring over, saying this is the new generation of trash-talking young superstars that are going to win this thing. And all of a sudden, these guys are one of the worst teams. How you go from being the new Jags to the old Jags in 1 year?
The Raiders are quite possibly the worst team in the NFL. They were supposed to contend for a Super Bowl. The Jaguars, they've had some disciplinary issues. Disappointing. The Raiders are a disaster.
All right, I like that. We might have to draw on that one because they both disappointing.
Last one.
Even though we love both these squads.
This one will get you thinking. Embrace it. The Browns were right to pass on Deshaun Watson and Mahomes in the NFL draft last year. Nate.
Yes. 100%. The Browns got exactly who they're supposed to get in Baker Mayfield. Baker Mayfield is the man for the job. He is the man for this team. He's the man for that city. He's the man for the future. Just look at how he's acting. Now, I know this situation is being blown out of proportion, and hopefully we'll leave this alone after this. But after he gets that win over the Bengals, and he goes to see Hugh Jackson after the game, and he gives him the stiff handshake and doesn't go in for the bro hug, let me ask you something.
Yeah.
Do you think Deshaun Watson would have did that?
I don't know. I don't
Be
think
honest. Do you think Patrick Mahomes would do that? Their demeanor's a little bit
Tell
different.
you what, Mahomes has 37 touchdown passes and 11 wins in his first year as a starter. I don't think you pass on Patrick Mahomes. Deshaun Watson got 8 straight wins. Baker Mayfield's got 4 career wins. That's great. Deshaun Watson got 4 wins last month. Oh yeah, did it the month before that as well. Like, I think that just because Baker had a cool quote and has done some things, don't act like he's a better quarterback than those other 2 guys. I think they made a colossal mistake passing on Patrick Mahomes, who might be the quarterback of a generation. I think Baker's great. I think his fit is good in Cleveland. But don't say that they made the right decision passing on those 2.
I have too much respect for Watson and Mahomes to say that Baker is better than them right now. I will say this, he's a better fit for the Cleveland Browns. There's no Myles Garrett. There's no Denzel Ward without that whole situation moving the way that it did.
If you're a starving man and you see food, even if it's not the greatest food, you're going to say it's the greatest food. That's how I feel Browns are right now with Mayfield. Okay. Don't slight what Mahomes and Watson are doing and saying Baker Mayfield's the better fit for the Browns. Yeah. How do we know that the Browns would have won 10 games last year with Mahomes?
When it comes to these guys talking about the Browns, all of these individuals looked at that sinking ship and said, I'll pass, except for Baker Mayfield. He said, I'll get on that sinking ship, and I'll make sure that the ship is repaired. That's why Baker Mayfield is meant to be with the Browns. Woo, that's what I'm talking about. I like that. That's the